Hey YouTubers, I've been modding out the 2022 Native Titan 12, and man, I gotta say I love this thing. I've had it out a couple times already, and man, it's just a phenomenal kayak, and I keep finding myself adding more and more mods to this thing. And so first things first, I fish a lot of lakes and ponds and things like that. I don't fish too many rivers, but some of the lakes that I fish are pretty big, and when you're out there, it can get pretty windy. So I needed a way to anchor down, and of course I don't have a spot lock yet, so I figured, well, let's try this anchor wizard everybody keeps talking about. So for you new guys, this is for you. If you're not familiar with the anchor wizard, or or using an anchor at all on a kayak, check this video out. This video is gonna probably help you out. I reached out to Anchor Wizard, and I noticed on their website that they had some different mounting plates for different kayaks, and I seen that they carried one specifically for the Native Titan, and they've got a bow mount for it. And I thought, man, that is awfully cool to be able to mount that thing right up here in the front, and be able to mount the chute right here, so when you deploy your anchor, it just falls off the side right there, and that's just a perfect spot for it. So anyways, now I will say that when I got this bracket, it did come powder coated black. But let me tell you what happened. I did something really stupid. I was looking for some trash to start a fire with, and I grabbed some an envelope off the table, and of course it had these really light aluminum brackets in there, and I didn't know it at the time, and I threw them in the fire. And man, I didn't notice it till about a week or two later. I went outside and I was looking at my burn pile, and I was like, man, what is that down in there? And I looked right in there, and I was like, no, I didn't. And sure enough, I did. I burnt these brackets up. There's one here in the front, and I'll show you the other one here in the back. But when you get them, they come black powder coated, and they look really sharp. So I decided, well, I don't want to have to repowder coat them or any of that, so I'm going to take and just strip it down and just leave it raw aluminum. And so I did, and I polished it out. It was like a mirror finish, and then I decided, well, I don't like all those fingerprints in that aluminum, so I took and put a coating of like a shark hide on there, so now I don't see any fingerprints. And of course it's not a mirror finish anymore once I put the shark hide on there, but like I said, there's no fingerprints, and it kind of gives it a dull look, but I think it really makes the kayak look great. And so it matches everything else, all the other aluminum and stainless accents on the kayak. There's one there, and then there's the Yak Attack hook, and then right here on top of the Anchor Wizard itself, it's got an aluminum crank ball or whatever. And then you've got this sidekick, and it's made out of stainless steel and aluminum. And then right here, this is the other plate from Anchor Wizard. So if you just have track and you want to add a universal plate, then you can. That's what this is for. So you would mount your chute on here and deploy your anchor off to the back. And so the reason I've got one here in the back and one in the front is because I might end up running two anchors. So that way, if you deploy your first anchor and the wind happens to spin you around a little bit, well, when you drop your second one, it should hold you steady and keep you locked in. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get to the install. I'll go ahead and explain what all I've done so far. I went ahead and mounted the Anchor Wizard and everything. I had it mounted right here on this this track, and then I went to Yak Attack and I got one of their mounts right there, and everything was mounted correctly. And then right up here in the front at the back of the chute bracket, there was just another bolt, and I decided to go ahead and just run to Home Depot and picked up or Lowe's, I'm sorry, but I picked up a 1/4 inch eyelet, stainless steel eyelet, and I mounted it right here, so that way it would be perfectly in line with that chute, and that way it kind of matched the Yak Attack one back here, except it don't have the plastic to get in the way. So anyways, it did really good. My only concern that I had with the Anchor Wizard was whenever I went to crank it up to tighten it up, it wiggled a little bit side to side, and it seemed like it was a lot of tension on that track. So I thought, well, if you look up underneath here, you can see there's about 1/8 of an inch of a gap on this side, and then there's about 1/8 of an inch gap on this side. So I figured if I could take and mount, you know, either like a bumper like this, like a furniture type bumper, or a piece of felt up underneath, that it would take out some of that slop, and it would keep that track from being pulled side to side, and it would seem more secure. So you guys can see that's all that I did, was just take a piece of felt and put it on this side, piece of felt on this side. It sticks up about 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit more, and when I set it back down there, now it's like nice and secure and flat, so whenever I go to crank on it, it don't pull to one side or to the other whenever you're cranking up on that track right there. It just feels a lot more secure. Now after you get your felt put down up underneath and you go ahead and tighten these screws up, sometimes you can't get enough leverage on them by just tightening them with your fingers. I had mine come loose a little bit and it slid down the track, and this Yak Attack eyelet saved it from falling off into the water. But just go ahead and tighten them up with a screwdriver, because you can get them a lot more tight with a screwdriver than you can your hands. So once you tighten down the front and the back, you'll notice that that there's no more wobble at all. I mean, where before when I wound it in, you could see there was so much wobble in the track system. I didn't want the plastic to get worn and the screws pull out of it, and so I figured this would be the best way to go ahead and strengthen it up. And then also what you want to do is take and use these Yak Attack tie down eyelets, and they do make these plastic ones. They sell these plastic ones like this, but I was afraid that this cord right here would tear into the plastic. And you know, if you don't believe that it won't do it, you can look right there on the side of the Anchor Wizard where I didn't have it adjusted straight. It chewed into the plastic just a hair, and that was my fault because I didn't have it adjusted. But you can it's hardly even noticeable. But if I'd have kept on using it, it would have cut into the plate more. So that's why I decided to go with these stainless steel eyelets from Yak Attack. And I'm going to go ahead and just take and put one. I'm going to put one really close, so that way it won't never ride over there to the edge. You can see right there, you know, it started digging into the plastic a little bit. So if I keep this eyelet a little bit closer, it pulls the tension over this way and puts it more on the eyelet. So now that I've gotten this tightened up, I've got an eyelet in right here and an eyelet right here, then now I can go on up to the front here, and I'm gonna go ahead and bring my cord up to this eyelet right here and run it through there. Then next, what I'm gonna do is take and cut me off a piece of heat shrink tubing, about probably an inch long, inch and a half long. And what I'm going to do next is go ahead and put that tubing on the cord, just let it drop down, and then I'm going to go ahead and tie my carabiner for my anchor on the end of my line here. And I'm going to tie another knot like that, just a double knot, pull it tight, and then see you've got this little tag end that you need to do something with. So I'm going to take and put that piece of heat shrink over top of that, just run it up on there like that, and then just heat that heat shrink up and let it shrink up around the rope there, and it'll keep it from coming loose, and it'll also give it a more finished look. But gotta say, guys, I was very pleased with the Anchor Wizard. It did great out there. I just there were some things that I seen that would help it work better on my kayak, and so that's why I'm doing this, is going back and making some improvements. And that's what it's all about. That's why I started that group, Fishing Kayak Mods, for you guys to make different mods and stuff like that for your kayaks and post them on Facebook. If you're not a member of that group, check it out, Fishing Kayak Mods. Got about 50,000 members on there. So once you get your heat shrink on there and you got your carabiner all tied on there, and what you want to do next is take and just drop it through the chute. This is called the chute. And next you want to go ahead and attach your anchor. Now I know a lot of you guys are using different types of anchors, and that's fine. You can use pretty much any kind of anchor you want to on here, but I'll tell you, I'm using the DaBomb anchor, DABOMB. Check them out. I'll try to link their website or Facebook page to the description in this video. But I really like these anchors, and I'll tell you why. It's just not some marketing gimmick. These are pretty smart design. That way you don't get caught up on a lot of stuff like you would with a lot of the grappling style anchors. They grab into the ground really good, but they also get hung up really good, and that's why they tell you to use a breakaway line on them, because they get hung up a lot. And some of these kayak anchors are $125. That's just crazy, if you ask me, to spend that kind of money on an anchor when you could buy one of these for like $40 or $50. They're not much, and you can get them custom powder coated in pretty much whatever you want. They've got a bunch of different colors, and since I was using some orange color on my kayak, I figured it would look pretty sharp on here. So been really impressed with the DaBomb anchor, and I'm sure you guys will enjoy it too, and it'll save you a lot of hassle from getting hung up. I didn't get hung up not one time all weekend, and gotta say, we was having some strong winds, and I used this thing quite a bit. Very impressed. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and winch up the Anchor Wizard. And you can see that it pulls it up there really easy, and everything held in place. And you can see right here where I was having a little bit of a problem with it slipping. Man, it held in place, and I really like the setup that I got on there now. It's not cutting into the Anchor Wizard. There's plenty enough room for the rope there on both sides. And then I put this eyelet up here so that it would make my angle a little bit better here on the front, and that way I can still use my horizontal rod storage. It's not the rope's not going to be too close to the putting your rod in there, so I can still use it. And then with this adjustable eyelet right here, I can adjust the height. If I want it a little bit taller, I can make it taller. If I want to twist it in, make it a little bit shorter, I can. And it just works great. Now I will say, with the different anchors and stuff, sometimes they go up into the chute really easy, meaning like they'll go all the way up in there like that, and then sometimes it gets stuck right there. Doesn't really bother me, because most of the time whenever I go ahead and put the anchor on the kayak, I leave it like this, already pulled into the chute, and then once I use it a time or two, then I just let it hang down. And it's no big deal, because I trailer my kayak, and at the end of the day, I go ahead and pull the anchor off of it anyways, so it don't accidentally fall off while going down the highway and have a 6-pound bowling ball going down the interstate. So now I forgot to get you guys a close-up of the Anchor Wizard. I was telling you how wobbly it was on this track, so I'm gonna go ahead and let it loose, and then I'm gonna go ahead and wind it up. You can see there's a little bit of wobble in it, but nowhere near like it was before. This thing is a lot more sturdy just by putting that felt up underneath there. And just to give you a look up underneath, you can't even tell it. I mean, it blends in, and very pleased with the results. Very cheap mod, just sticking that felt up underneath there and adding an extra eyelet so there's no rubbing on the line. Let me give you a close-up of that. You can see before, and then you can see where it's at now, and you can see the correct angle that it's mounted at, and it makes it really easy to pull in and out. So at the end of the day of fishing, I just go ahead and unhook it right here, and then I go ahead and take the Anchor Wizard chute and then the carabiner, and I go ahead and hook it into the eyelet right there. And then now there's really no chance of the line coming loose and getting tangled up in your trailer tires or your wheels or none of that, because it's hooked in right here and it's tight right there on the Anchor Wizard, so it's not going anywhere. And as far as the bomb anchor, now you got to find somewhere to store this thing. So if it was me, I would either get like a Pelican case from like Harbor Freight, one of those little cheap ones. They're like 10-12 bucks, or you could get like a Crown Royal bag, put some rice or sand or something in it, and store it in there so that way it's not rolling around. And I'm just going to store mine probably in my black pack. So that about wraps this video up. Sorry to make it so long and drawn out, but I just wanted you guys to understand what I went through and how I fixed it and how it works perfect now. Very, very, very happy. So anyways, you guys check out Anchor Wizard and the bomb anchors. Check out my groups, Fishing Kayak Mods and Kayak Trailer Mods, on Facebook. Got over 60,000 combined members, and make sure you like and subscribe. Get a lot more videos to come. Have a good one.